What happens when the world's top golfers aren't just fighting for trophies but for pride? Rivalries so fierce they fueled drama, sparked controversy, and changed the game forever. These are the moments that had fans on the edge of their seats. Alright, on number 1, we have Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. When you think of golf's biggest showdowns, you cannot ignore the epic clash between them. These two didn't just play golf, they went to war every time they faced off. Tiger was the quiet storm, the guy with laser focus, no smiles, just grinding to destroy everyone in his path. And then you've got Phil, the ultimate showman, a guy who could hit an insane shot and still flash that charming grin, like he wasn't about to cause a scene. It's like the difference between a chess master and the guy who always brings a deck of cards to the game. So different, but both incredibly good at what they do. But it wasn't just about who could hit the longest drive. Sure, between Tiger's ridiculous power and Phil's near heroic attempts, that was part of the fun. But when you think about these two, you've got to remember the Ryder Cup. The tension, you could cut it with a knife. The crowd, going absolutely wild every time one of them made a move. It was electric. And don't even get me started on the trash talk. These two, they weren't just golfing, they were playing mind games, having fun, and the media ate it up. Tiger once called Phil the best player who's never won a major. And Phil, he wasn't shy about throwing a little shade right back. Well, this rivalry didn't just shape them, it shaped golf. Tiger made the sport cool again, and Phil, he brought the excitement. Golf wasn't just for the older crowd anymore, it was mainstream. Fans of every age tuned in to see these two face off, and that's when the sport reached a whole new level. So while Tiger's relentless focus dominated, Phil's style made golf feel like a game of personality too. These two didn't just elevate each other, they elevated the entire sport. But now, here's a thought, who really came out on top? The cold calculating Tiger or the unpredictable fun-loving Phil? You won't want to miss where this one goes, trust me. Alright, time to rewind to the golden days of golf, back when the game was just starting to take off. And who were the kings? Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. If there's ever been a rivalry that made golf cool, it was this one. Arnold Palmer, the crowd pleaser, the guy who would pump up the fans, hit bombs off the tee, and own the course with his swagger. And Jack Nicklaus, the absolute machine who got it done with cold, calculated precision. Nicklaus wasn't out there to show off, he was there to win, and let's be honest, he did that better than anyone. Now, let's talk about the 1962 US Open. Palmer, the fan favorite, had a massive lead, the crowd going absolutely nuts. Palmer was practically celebrating before the tournament was even over, but then, out of nowhere, like a plot twist in a thriller, Nicklaus comes storming back and steals the win. The look on Palmer's face? Priceless! But that was the thing with these two. Palmer was the guy everyone loved, the guy who made golf feel like a fun ride. Nicklaus, on the other hand, was the quiet, laser-focused competitor who didn't care if you liked him or not, he just wanted to beat you. But what made this rivalry so legendary wasn't just the scores, it was their personalities. Palmer brought in the crowds, the energy, and that undeniable charm. Nicklaus, he showed the world what it took to be the best. No frills, no drama, just pure talent and consistency. Their rivalry was more than just about golf. It was about who would define the sport's future. Now, here's the real question. Who really came out on top in the end? Was it Palmer, the people's champ, or Nicklaus, the greatest to ever do it? Stick around and I'll tell you just how close these two really were in leaving their mark. Alright, buckle up, because this rivalry is pure fire. On number 3, we have Rory McIlroy versus Patrick Reed. This isn't just another battle on the fairways, this one's packed with drama, smack talk, and enough tension to light up an entire golf course. These two, they're completely different. Rory's got that charm, a swing smoother than butter, and fans love him worldwide. Patrick Reed, he's fiery, unapologetic, and loves being the villain. And oh boy, did their paths cross in some seriously entertaining ways. The fireworks started when Rory called Reed out for some questionable moves on the course. And Reed? Oh, he wasn't having any of it. Suddenly, every time these two were near each other, the tension was palpable. McIlroy didn't just stick to golf talk, he was calling Reed out in the media. And Reed? He wasn't backing down either. Oh no. He fired back, questioning Rory's ability to handle pressure. It was on. But these two, they're not just golfers, they're personalities that couldn't be more different. Rory is the golden boy of golf, classy, calm, and always in control. And then there's Reed, always at the center of controversy. Whether it's his on-course antics or his decision to join LEV Golf, Reed makes sure he's never far from the headlines. Meanwhile, Rory, trying to be the ambassador for the sport, throws shade every chance he gets. The media eats it up, the fans love it, and these guys, they just keep giving us more. And let's not forget the Ryder Cup. Every time these two clash, it's like a mini war, and the fans, they're living for it. They want to see who can outplay, outtalk, and outlast the other. But wait, will Rory continue to get the upper hand, or is Reed plotting his comeback? Stick around, because this rivalry is just getting started. Now, let's hop back in time to one of the most intense rivalries golf has ever seen. Seve Ballesteros versus Nick Faldo. These two? Oh, they didn't just play golf, they battled for the crown. Picture this, the 1980s, Ryder Cup fever, and Europe finally starting to flex its muscles on the global golfing stage. And who were the poster boys? Seve, the passionate Spaniard, and Nick, the cool, collected Englishman. The contrast, electric. These two were poles apart. Seve was the heart of European golf. His style was full of flair, drama, and passion. And then here comes Nick Faldo, the strategic, no-nonsense Englishman. Nick's approach to golf? Cold, calculated, and precise. And let me tell you, Seve wasn't having any of it. The 1987 Ryder Cup, it wasn't just a game, it was a war between them. Seve, the emotional fireball, against Faldo, the stoic sniper, and the media, they were loving every second of it. But here's where it gets wild. Seve wasn't just taking shots on the course. Oh no, he went after Faldo off the course too. He couldn't stand Faldo's robotic style. Meanwhile, Faldo didn't shy away from criticizing Seve's antics, calling him too emotional for the sport. These weren't just two guys competing, they were redefining what it meant to be a European golfer. What really took this rivalry to the next level was the cultural clash. It wasn't just about who was better, it was about how to play the game. And let's not forget, this rivalry had the entire European golf scene buzzing. They weren't just building legacies, they were shaping the future of the sport. But here's the twist. Despite the fierce battles, Seve and Faldo would eventually find common ground. But let me ask you this, would their rivalry have been as iconic if they'd just gotten along? I guess we'll never know. Alright, on number 5 we have Ben Hogan and Sam Snead. These two weren't just golf legends, they were the original Batman and Joker of the sport. Except Hogan was Batman. If Batman had a completely obsessive approach to golf, he wasn't just out there playing, he was studying every single detail. You've probably heard the term workaholic, but Hogan was a whole new level. This guy lived on the driving range, grinding away like he was preparing for a life or death situation. Snead? Well, he was more like the cool, laid-back guy at the party who also happened to have one of the smoothest, most effortless swings the sport had ever seen. If Snead's swing was a dance, it was like he was moonwalking while the rest of us struggled to tie our shoes. So, how did these two end up in the history books together? Their rivalry really kicked off in the late 1940s, and wow, it was spicy. Think about it. You've got Hogan, who believes in precision and working on every detail, versus Snead, who just kind of showed up and made it look easy. The 1946 PGA Championship was the first real turning point. Hogan had been dominating, but Snead swooped in and took the win. And you know what? Hogan didn't take it lightly. If Hogan was a robot, Snead was the carefree artist, and the contrast was mesmerizing. But don't count Hogan out. Fast forward to 1948, and he comes back with a vengeance, claiming the US Open title in spectacular fashion. It was like he'd learned the secret to life and golf all in one swing. Their rivalry wasn't just about who had the better swing, it was about who could outwork the other. These two didn't just battle on the course, they were part of golf's DNA. Hogan showed us that precision and determination could turn a man into a machine, and Snead proved you could kick back, smile, and still be a total powerhouse. Their rivalry wasn't just for the records, it set the tone for every golfer who came after them. And honestly, who could forget the spectacle of it all? These guys changed the game. Okay, it's 2020, the world's losing its mind, and golf decides it's time for an epic showdown between two guys who couldn't be more different. Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. This is the rivalry of the modern era, and it's not just about golf, it's about personalities. Koepka is like that guy who walks into a room, looks around and goes, "Yep, I'm winning this." No sweat. He doesn't need to be loud about it, he's just confident. Then you've got Bryson, the mad scientist of golf. This guy is out here wearing a lab coat and crushing drives like he's swinging Thor's hammer. Seriously, he's so into physics and data, he probably calculates his sandwich choices before lunch. And the best part, he's constantly trying to make his swing even bigger. It all started innocently enough, but it quickly escalated. The real fireworks came when Bryson turned into the Hulk of golf. He bulked up, started hitting drives that were borderline comical in distance, and decided to talk about it. A lot. Enter Koepka, who's all like, I'm just here to win trophies, man. Don't need all the drama. Bryson didn't exactly hold back either. A few Twitter jabs, some on-course tension, and bam. You've got a rivalry that golf fans are obsessed with. One of their most memorable moments? The 2021 PGA Championship, where Koepka couldn't help but roll his eyes every time Bryson stepped up to the tee. There was a moment when Bryson was getting ready for a swing, and Koepka's look was pure gold. It was like the guy was thinking, I'm just here for the golf, but you do you, bro. But this wasn't just about throwing shade, it's about how the rivalry reshaped golf itself. Social media has made it more personal than ever before. Fans couldn't get enough of it, the media ate it up, and suddenly, golf was trending on Twitter. We all started wondering, will they ever just chill out and play? Or are we in for years of epic back and forth drama? Either way, the game of golf has never been this entertaining. And here's the kicker. Who's actually winning this rivalry? Is it Koepka's chill swagger, or is it DeChambeau's obsession with science? Only time will tell, but whatever happens, we're along for the ride. What happens when the great white shark meets the Iceman? Cue the tension. Greg Norman and Nick Faldo's rivalry was one for the ages, full of high stakes, high drama, and plenty of hard-hitting moments. It wasn't just about winning tournaments, it was about mental games, and trust me, these two were absolute masters at it. Let's talk about the moment. 1996 Masters. Norman was cruising, sitting pretty with a 6-shot lead going into the final round. He was on fire. But then, here comes Faldo, the cool calculating Englishman who wasn't rattled by pressure. As Norman fumbled, Faldo stormed in and won the Masters, leaving Norman in the dust. I mean, it wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Faldo had taken the big fish down. Ouch! But it wasn't just a one-off. Oh no, these two were like a constant battle for control. Their approaches to the game were worlds apart, and that's what made the rivalry so wild. And let's not forget the mental aspect. Norman was an emotional roller coaster, constantly on the edge, while Faldo was as cold as ice. Watching their different styles clash felt like watching two gladiators from different worlds, one charging forward, the other waiting for the perfect strike. This wasn't just about the game, it was about who would crack first. By the time the 90s wrapped up, golf was forever changed. These two legends didn't just compete, they redefined the rivalry game in golf. Norman and Faldo pushed each other, creating an epic saga that added more drama and excitement to the sport than ever before. But here's the kicker. While Faldo was playing the long game, Norman, he was always the one with the edge. So who really came out on top? Okay, forget everything you know about girl next door rivalries. Annika Sörenstam versus Karrie Webb was pure fire. Two of the greatest LPGA legends clashing like titans, making women's golf more thrilling than ever before. If you thought the men's tour was exciting, this rivalry took it to a whole new level. Annika was the methodical genius. I mean, the woman was a robot, precision with every swing. Then, there's Karrie Webb, aggressive, fiery, and always hungry for more. It was like watching a game of cat and mouse. Webb chasing Annika's records, and Annika just barely holding on to the top spot. Every time they faced off, it was a battle. And trust me, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The 2001 US Women's Open? Webb shut the door on Annika's dreams that year, pulling off a victory that made the entire golf world stop. It was like the wind was knocked out of Annika's sails. But don't think for a second that Annika didn't come back swinging, because she always did. These two played a mental game as much as they played golf, and each time they met, they brought more energy to the game. But it wasn't just about winning tournaments, it was about defining an era. The 90s and early 2000s saw these two women battling not just for titles, but for the soul of women's golf. Annika's consistency was a force, but Karrie's unpredictability was what made her so dangerous. Fans couldn't look away, and neither could the media. Every event they played in felt like a grand finale, like the entire world was waiting for the next chapter in their saga. So, what was the real legacy of this rivalry? Annika and Karrie didn't just win tournaments, they changed the game. Their rivalry pushed the sport to new heights, bringing in more fans and shining a spotlight on women's golf like never before. And while Annika was the one with the records carry, she had that raw, untamed passion that kept fans on the edge of their seats. Who really left the bigger mark? Alright folks, get ready to feel the intensity, not from the flashy, in-your-face drama you might expect, but from something far more subtle and thrilling. Fred Couples versus Davis Love 3. Two players who weren't loud or flashy, but when they went head-to-head, Oh, it was like a chess match with a golf club. Just think about it. The 90s, a time when these two were always in the mix but never getting bogged down by all the media circus. You could tell by the way they played. It was all about precision, not profanity. Fred Couples, smooth as a glass of whiskey on the rocks, would glide through a course with that effortless swing. Then there's Davis Love 3, more like a cool cat who'd show up with a little extra intensity that made you wonder what was brewing beneath the surface. And when they faced off, you could feel the quiet tension, like they didn't need to trash talk to get into each other's heads. It was all in the swing. But hey, let's get real here. Their biggest moment? 1992 PGA Championship. Davis Love was looking for a win, but Fred came through and snatched it like he was flipping a light switch. Was there a rivalry? Oh, absolutely. But it was the kind of rivalry where neither player had to act like they hated each other. They were professionals. And man, those head-to-head moments, intense. And well, their legacy isn't just about who won more often, it's about the style they brought to the game. They weren't flashy, but they were the definition of class and talent, quiet but powerful. It's almost like they were the cool, calm contrast to the bigger-than-life characters of the time. And you know what? Their rivalry really helped elevate the 90s golf scene. These two guys weren't just playing to win, they were changing the game. Who do you think actually had the edge when it came to legacy? Couples with his calm charisma or Love with his quiet intensity? Well, maybe we'll never know, or will we? Alright, let's travel back in time, folks, way before flashy sponsors, oversized crowds, and Instagram selfies, back to when golf was about true passion. The rivalry between Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen, let's just say it was a battle of philosophies, and boy, did it shape the future of golf. Bobby Jones was the amateur hero, a guy who played for love, not money. He was the definition of class and skill. As a golfer, you could imagine sipping tea after a round and discussing the meaning of life. Meanwhile, Walter Hagen, well, let's just say he was the original rock star of golf. He wasn't about that humble amateur life. He was all about fame, fortune, and making golf a show. If Jones was the understated gentleman, Hagen was the flamboyant showman who loved making an entrance. Their rivalry wasn't just about scoring birdies or putting stats, it was about what golf represented. Jones believed in the purity of the game, refusing to turn professional, while Hagen was out there like, why not make this a business too? And let's not forget about their legendary face-offs. One of the biggest, the 1921 British Open, where Hagen took the win. And honestly, Jones probably wasn't too happy about that. But Hagen didn't just win, he strutted off like a champ, proving to the world that golf was about personality and skill. Now, fast forward a bit, their rivalry isn't just a tale of competition, it's about how they shaped the modern golf tour. Hagen's flashy style created the template for golf as a professional sport, while Jones's dignified amateurism gave the game a sense of nobility. And honestly, these two guys set the stage for everything we know and love about the sport today. But was Bobby Jones right, sticking to his amateur ways? Or was Walter Hagen the true visionary, taking the game to places Jones would never have? I'll leave that up to you to decide, but one thing's for sure, their rivalry created the game we watch today. So, who do you think had the most unforgettable rivalry in golf history? Is it the classic legends, or is it the modern clashes that really got your heart racing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.